Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into a really interesting phase in Fanny's travels, pulling from her book, Hitchhike.
Hmm.
We're zeroing in on the end of that, self-imposed break she took 3 months. No meat, no booze, no guys, and this, really impactful lesson she picked up about dealing with unexpected problems.
Exactly. We've got Fanny's own words here to guide us. It's all about her personal growth, right then how she was starting to see relationships differently, even her habits with food and drink.
And it all kind of leads up to this key moment, this insight about resilience that was sparked by, well, a travel mess up, basically.
Right. So, okay, this 3-month thing ends. Fanny's in a hostel. Now, based on her writing, hostels seem like her natural habitat, right?
Yeah, she definitely comes across as an extrovert,
Yeah.
someone who, easily chats people up, makes connections.
Which is interesting because she contrasts herself with Laura, her travel buddy, who needed more alone time.
Oh.
It kind of shows how different people experience the same trip. But it also emphasizes Fanny's leaning towards connection right as she's coming out of this isolation period.
And the fasting itself, the end of it, seems like it stuck with her. The meat thing, for example. She says after 3 months off it, she wasn't immediately keen.
Yeah, she tried it again, but it felt heavy. So like that break actually reset her body's response a bit. It's pretty fascinating, really. Shows how cutting something out isn't just about willpower. It can actually tune you into what your body, genuinely needs or wants.
It wasn't just not eating meat, it changed how she felt about it.
Exactly, an internal shift.
And then alcohol. She mentions later, working in those party hostels, she kind of slipped back into drinking more for a bit.
Which is super relatable, right? Big life changes, they're not always smooth sailing. There are bumps.
Totally.
But she saw it as just a phase, It helped her find a better, more moderate balance in the long run.
Yeah, it really highlights that personal growth isn't like a perfect upward line. Sometimes you dip back.
Right? Those setbacks can actually teach you something, help you find a more sustainable path. It's about learning, not perfection.
And the third part of the fast, the men. She's pretty honest that this needed more ongoing work. But she says the Dominican Republic was a good place to sort of ease back into dating. She seemed to get the whole transient backpacker relationship thing.
Yeah, she wasn't expecting forever, just enjoying the connection for what it was.
That shows some real self-awareness, doesn't it? Knowing the context, adjusting expectations. Pretty healthy, actually.
Definitely. Not trying to force something that the situation just wasn't set up for.
Okay, so then enter the wonderful Swiss man. She describes him so warmly. Charm, smile, joy, peace, just a great vibe.
He clearly made a big impression. And what's really key is her mindset before meeting him.
Oh, yeah.
She specifically wanted that first post-fast connection to happen when she felt solid, confident in herself.
So the fast wasn't just about stopping things. It was about building herself up for what came next.
Precisely. Building that inner foundation.
And she talks about how quickly you get to know people in hostels. Like the timeline is just squish.
Yeah, everyone's moving, so you kind of skip the small talk and dive deep, fast. Mindsets, feelings, life goals, struggles, regrets, all of it.
Trying to find something real beyond just, attraction.
It's that human need for connection, right? The limited time maybe forces a kind of honesty you don't always get. Makes you wonder if we could use a bit more of that directness sometimes.
And she had, criteria, too. Beyond the initial spark, she wanted intelligence, positivity, good intentions. She'd really thought about it.
Totally. It wasn't impulsive. It was a conscious choice, looking for deeper stuff, shared values.
And it sounds like it went well. Amazing talks, laughter, intimacy on the third night. Seems like a really positive experience.
Definitely. And afterwards, Fanny has this really sharp reflection. She realized her past hookups were often about needing attention, validation from outside.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and she contrasts that with how she felt then, kinder, gentler, more present. She felt that inner shift actually attracted a different kind of partner, a different kind of interaction.
Wow. That's a really powerful idea, that who you are influences who you connect with. The inner work impacts the outer world.
It really does.
Good.
Our relationships often mirror our own internal state. Meeting him wasn't just about him. It was about her being different.
And she stresses it wasn't just a fling. It was a milestone for her personally. That image of his goodbye, look loving, appreciative, but sad. It really captures the depth they found quickly.
Yeah, those intense, short-lived travel connections, they could be so meaningful, right?
Yeah.
Bittersweet goodbyes are just part of that life. He was like proof of her progress.
So the story moves on. Fanny and Laura are off to Honduras, but then trouble at the airport.
Oh.
Booking flights. They're using the same laptop, booking one after the other. Fanny gets hers.
Okay.
And then the last seat on the connecting flight gets snapped up before Lara can book. So Lara has to travel a whole day later.
Oh, man. That's rough. You'd expect frustration, maybe some panic.
Right. But Lara's reaction was apparently surprisingly chill. No anger, nothing. She just says, I'm looking forward to finding out the reason why I must stay here another day.
Wow. Okay. That's quite the attitude.
Fanny was floored. She said it just burned into her memory. This example of staying calm, looking for the upside, staying hopeful even when things go wrong.
That's huge.
And Fanny recognized, I need to learn how to do that.
That's the core lesson, isn't it? Reframing problems, seeing them not as just bad luck, but as potential detours with their own purpose, that kind of proactive positivity. That's resilience.
And apparently Lara did later figure out why the delay happened, something personal for her, a milestone. Fanny doesn't share details, respects her privacy.
Which just adds another layer, doesn't it? Almost like Lara trusted that things work out even if you don't see how at first.
Yeah, embracing the uncertainty, that's what hit Fanny so hard.
So Fanny heads to Honduras alone first. And her arrival sounds a bit comical. Border control, her Hungarian passport. It throws the officer for a loop.
Huh. Yeah, she describes the officer sighing, eyes getting big, even sweating a bit. Fanny actually joked, am I going to be stuck here?
Oh, dear. Just highlights how unpredictable travel can be, right? Even simple things. Fanny's humor probably helped, though.
Seems like it. She gets through, meets Lara's friend, hangs out at her place while waiting. They even start planning trips for when Lara arrives, making the best of it.
Shows that traveler adaptability again, rolling with the punches, finding connections, even when plans go sideways.
Now, Honduras itself, her first impressions were pretty strong. Specifically, the guns.
Oh.
Yeah, just seeing firearms out in the open, carried by regular people, not just police or military, was new for her.
Okay, yeah, that would be a culture shock, depending on where you're from. What was her take on it?
Her first thought, pretty logically, was that lots of visible guns might mean a high crime rate. It's a natural association.
Makes sense.
She mentions seeing humongous shotguns or whatever those were, just how common they seemed. But here's the interesting part. She says, while it definitely got her attention and made her wonder, she wasn't actually scared. She was more curious. Why is this the norm here?
That's a key shift. From potential fear to curiosity. Instead of letting it freak her out, she wanted to understand the context. That's such a valuable mindset for travel.
Definitely. Approaching the unfamiliar with questions rather than just fear.
So it sounds like Honduras is going to bring more adventures.
Oh, yeah. She teases a funny story coming up, something about a live interview with a Hungarian radio station and how she was introduced, plus more hitchhiking.
Ah, okay. Looking forward to that. Travel is full of those unexpected funny moments.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, we saw Fanny emerge from her fast, have this really affirming connection that showed her own growth.
With the Swiss man. A real milestone.
And then absorb this incredibly powerful lesson from Lara about facing setbacks with, positive curiosity.
Yeah. And these moments from Fanny's journey, they really give us something to think about, don't they? The link between our inner state and our relationships,
Right.
and how much power our perspective holds when we hit those inevitable bumps in the road.
Absolutely. So here's a final thought for everyone listening. Think back to a time in your own life when things went sideways, a delay, a problem, whatever. Did it, maybe surprisingly, end up leading to something good you didn't expect? And how can you maybe try to bring a bit more of that Lara-like curiosity to the next challenge you face? Be open to the idea that there might be a hidden reason, a hidden benefit just waiting to be discovered.